Now, if you've been browsing the internet for any amount of time, chances are you've stumbled across your fair share of bad music. And these types of songs usually sound something like this.
Don't mess with me cause I'm a gangster. I'm evil like Sasuke. I'm the best rappers ever.
Songs like this have polluted the internet since its inception, and are both unpleasant to listen to and simultaneously fascinating. So here's a 2-hour-long video all about bad music. Now, before I began working on this video, I had asked my friend Chan Username to create an iceberg dedicated to some of the worst songs the internet has to offer. And not only are we going to be diving into all of these songs' backstories, but I am also going to be listening to every single one of them and ranking them all on a tier list. So as you guys can see here, I have a tier list ranked from not bad at all to worst of all time contender. And we're going to be categorizing each and every entry on this iceberg into one of these tiers. And at the end of the video, we're going to look at all of the worst of all time contenders and determine which one is definitively the worst of all time, at least on this iceberg. Now, before we dive into this iceberg, I need to give a few quick disclaimers. First of all, please do not harass anyone featured in this video. The purpose of this video is primarily to critique music, and that's as far as it's gonna go. So don't take this video as an opportunity to start harassing people online. That's not cool, and I do not condone that behavior whatsoever. Second of all, I am not a professional music critic, okay? So if you're coming into this video looking for an expert's opinion or an in-depth analysis about a song's structure, that is not this video. I'm just a guy, and these are my opinions. It's not that deep. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the first layer of the bad internet music iceberg. The surface. Let's dive right in, shall we? Times We Had. On March 15th, 2020, a song titled Times We Had would be uploaded onto SoundCloud by an aspiring artist named Barlito. The premise of the song is relatively straightforward, with Barlito himself reminiscing about a past relationship that has now unfortunately concluded. Despite its relatable premise, the song would go mostly unnoticed by the general public for the first few months of its existence. But that would all change on May 15th, 2020, when the popular music artist Doja Cat would make a tweet claiming that she would show her boobs if her recent remix of Say So reached #1 on the Billboard Top 100. Naturally, this promise would send internet gooners into a frenzy, and shortly after this announcement was made, Say So would reach the #1 spot on the Billboard Top 100. However, to the surprise of no one but Redditors, Doja Cat would not follow through with this stunt, leading to public outcry amongst gooners across the web.
History. We made history. We just made history. And I'm still not going to show you my boobs. But we just made history.
In retaliation for this betrayal, many downtrodden fans would begin coordinating efforts to dethrone Say So from the #1 spot, and the song they would choose to accomplish this feat would be none other than Times We Had by Barlito. Now, you're probably wondering why fans were so eager to promote this song specifically. Well, that's because Times We Had by Barlito sounded like this. It's not bad so far, I think. It's not that.
The times we had. The times that you and me had.
I don't want to be mean or anything, but I feel like what Barlito was trying to go for here, it may have been a little above his pay grade, you know?
Yeah, you had me in my bag. The times that...
It's like you could hear the auto-tune fighting against him when he's singing. The lyrics, man, they touched me in my special carb spot, you know? Especially this one right here.
Yeah, you had me in my bag.
Especially that one. That one hit me right here, right in the feels, you know? Now, believe it or not, the song would eventually reach the #1 spot on Spotify's viral top 50 chart, falling short of the original goal, but nonetheless cementing its legacy in internet culture forever. In my original ranking, I had put this song in the bad tier due to Barlito's poor vocal performance. However, after some reconsideration, I decided to move it into the clumsy tier instead. Sure, Barlito's performance can be considered severely lacking, but the song itself had potential. If the vocals were executed just a little better, the song probably would have been received much more favorably online. So I think the clumsy tier is a good spot for it. clumsily made, but not inherently bad. Also, I just wanted to point out that while I was creating this video, Barlito actually released some new music on his SoundCloud for the first time in over 5 years. And let me tell you, he must have gone through some character development these past few years, because the song is actually pretty good. I'll leave a link to it down below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. Now, with all of that being said, let's move on to the next entry. Skeleton. Playboi Carti is an extremely popular rapper best known for his unique vocals and experimental approach to hip-hop music, with some of his most well-known albums including Die Lit, Whole Lotta Red, and more recently, I Am Music. But for this entry, we'll primarily be focusing on his second studio album, Whole Lotta Red. You see, back in 2019, just 6 months before this album was set to release, leaks of the project would begin to circulate online, the most notable of which being for a song titled Skeleton. Featuring a smooth synthy beat, the song would quickly become a favorite within Carti's community, with many fans looking forward to how the song would sound when it officially released. But unfortunately, this day would never come, as it was ultimately cut from the album prior to its release, leaving fans to wonder what the song could have been if Carti had ever finished it. And this is where things get interesting. In 2021, a satirical version of Playboi Carti, referred to as Play Guy Cartman, would take it upon himself to finish the song and release it in a somewhat official capacity. And let's just say Play Guy Cartman had a very interesting interpretation of the song. Okay, this is actually not that bad. Like, I'm vibing with the beat and everything, but it's just like... At what point is it too much auto-tune, right? Like, I can't even understand what the guy's saying. It sounds like he's speaking in Morse code. It's like... Now, when I first heard this song, I had trouble figuring out where to place it, since the beat itself was fine. It was just the auto-tune vocals that really held it back. However, in the end, I decided to put it in the bad tier. The song itself isn't awful per se, but man, the dude sounds like he's speaking Morse code. So I think the bad tier is a fair spot for it. Let's move on to the next entry. Not Like Us Brazilian Funk Remix. Not Like Us is a diss track created by the rapper Kendrick Lamar on fellow music artist Drake. Released during the height of their public feud, the song criticizes some of Drake's past behavior, including his proclivity for younger women and his inauthentic use of black cultural identity. As you can imagine, the song's intense lyrics and catchy beat would lead to it going extremely viral online. And this, in turn, would spawn a variety of different remixes of the track, with one of the most infamous variants being the Brazilian Funk remix by Chill Panic. First released on May 19th, 2024, the remix attempts to combine Kendrick's Not Like Us with the music subgenre Brazilian Funk, which is a genre best known for its aggressive and fast-paced electronic beats. This combination is very puzzling to say the least, and leaves one to wonder why someone would even conceptualize an idea like this. Well, believe it or not, I actually got into contact with Chill Panic, and I asked him about that very topic, and he had this to say.
Like, I never really heard of Brazilian funk. I was just doing like keyword research. So I just used like vidIQ and tried to find things in music that were getting searched for a lot. And it was like Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us was popping off, and then the genre of Brazilian funk. So I was just like, you know, popular song, popular rising genre. Hopefully it'll work. And it did, but not in the way I expected.
Honestly, with the additional context that Chill Panic didn't even know what Brazilian funk was before creating this remix, it's almost impressive how he managed to even make a song within the genre. However, whether he pulled it off or not is still up for debate, since the song he would go on to upload sounded like this. Oh my god. Like, dude, it's always good to remix music, but this was unnecessary, okay? Not Like Us did not need a Brazilian funk remix. It's crazy that we live in a timeline where this is a real thing, you know? like, Unfortunately, Chill Panic's remix didn't pan out the way he had hoped it would, and the song would go on to be extensively made fun of online, with this comment pretty much summing up the public's opinion of this track. When I asked how Chill Panic felt regarding the hate his song had received, he said this.
At first, I was actually pretty butthurt, and like Like the hate comments, I was responding like, man, fuck you. And but then once I got on TikTok and realized that somebody had screen recorded the YouTube video and put it on TikTok and was like, this shit is ass. And then there were just these like repeating comments under the TikTok video talking about how bad it was. I was like, oh, okay, so this is just a meme. It's basically just a meme to hate this, and it kind of changed my perspective on it.
This positive change in attitude is heavily reflected in his upload history, as a few weeks after his song went viral, he would ironically upload a clean version of his remix catered towards PE teachers. So it's good to know that Chill Panic has a sense of humor. Now, when it comes to ranking this remix on the tier list, I can't help but think that this track is the epitome of bad remixes. It was unnecessary, unwanted, and honestly, unethical as well. I know that Brazilian funk is supposed to be loud and aggressive, but this remix sounds like it's trying too hard to go hard, which kinda gives the song an underlying corniness to it that is hard to explain. So for that, I think this song belongs in the bad tier. It's not awful, but I don't think it had enough potential to be considered clumsy either. Anyways, towards the end of my interview with Chill Panic, we talked about some of his personal music, and he mentioned his most recent album, Hey Baby. So naturally, I went to check it out after the interview. And let's just say that Chill Panic is way more talented than his Not Like Us remix would have you believe.
Hey baby, been a minute since we talked. Do you ever think about me when you're by yourself? Does he know you like I do?
Seriously, it's crazy that this album only has 100 views on YouTube considering its quality. I'll leave a link down below if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. Now, with all of that being said, let's move on to the next entry. Ambulance B. XQC is a well-known streamer who first rose to prominence as a professional esport player for the game Overwatch. During the day, he's nothing more than a barely intelligible live streamer, but by night, he transitions into the up-and-coming beatmaker, DJ Toenail, and begins working on boundary-pushing music, with some of his most notable works including Loading Screen Music, Beat to Die To,
This is like a beat to die to, like me. This shit.
and of course, the Ambulance Beat. First created on April 9th, 2025, the beat itself is relatively simple, primarily consisting of nothing more than some 808s combined with a recorder. As you can imagine, this combination leads to a very unorthodox beat, to say the least. However, just a few weeks after DJ Toenail conceptualized this beat, an individual by the name of Slushire would remix this track into a more listenable state. This is probably the version most of you are familiar with, since it has been used in countless different memes after its release. Like, it's crazy that it's not even that bad. Like, genuinely. Every single, like, separate instrumental that was used in this song sounds awful. But somehow, I don't know how DJ Toenail managed to do it, but he made it work. That really is impressive. It's like it should not sound this good. Now, the question is, where does this song rank on the Bad Internet Music tier list? Well, despite the song's weird combination of 808s and a recorder, it actually wasn't all that bad in my opinion. Sure, the bass track by DJ Toenail was certainly goofy, but Slushire made some much needed improvements to the song, and it's actually pretty catchy now, so for that, it goes in the clumsy tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Martin Luther King. Miles is a popular rapper best known for his eccentric rap style and delivery, often utilizing high-pitched inflection in order to accentuate certain themes or lines within his songs. This is usually done with the intention of making the song sound bad for comedic effect, which categorizes the majority of his discography as meme rap. However, despite the ironic nature of his music, he has garnered an extremely large fanbase online, with even the likes of Doja Cat enjoying his music to some degree.
Seen this bad girl at the store, she like a honey bun. She brown skin bad, man, she like a honey bun. So I had to hit her with the where you from? I might have to DM she a honey bun.
Now, since the majority of Yuno's songs are intentionally bad, almost all of them were in contention to be featured in this video. However, the song Martin Luther King was ultimately selected as a representative of his discography. First released on August 22nd, 2023, the song discusses Yuno Miles' appreciation for historic civil rights activists, including the likes of Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and of course, Martin Luther King Jr. As one would come to expect from a Yuno Miles track, his signature vocal inflection is heavily incorporated into the song. But unlike his other songs where this vocal inflection is high-pitched, Yuno uses a deeper tone for this track, resulting in a song that sounds like this.
Shout out Martin Luther King that had a dream.
Like, dude.
Do you
Like, okay, how do you even conceptualize a song that sounds like this? Yuno Miles is probably the best, worst rapper to ever exist. Like, he consistently just releases the most awful songs in the best way possible, you know? It's like... Now, when it comes to ranking Martin Luther King on the tier list, it's important to keep in mind that even if a song was created with the intention of it being bad, we have to judge the song for what it is, as opposed to why it is. And let me tell you, Martin Luther King is some hot ass. As funny as some of the lyrics are, the chorus is absolutely unforgivable. It sort of sounds like how a person who suffered a stroke would speak. So with that being said, Martin Luther King goes comfortably in the awful tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Jackie's Box. Five Nights at Freddy's is a critically acclaimed video game franchise created by the indie developer Scott Cawthon. First introduced to the world back in 2014, the game's eerie visuals and unique gameplay would quickly garner a large fanbase online, with many fans eagerly dedicating themselves to solving the game's mysteries. As you can imagine, the monumental success of the franchise would result in numerous installments being released over the years, the most recent of which being Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic. And little did we know at the time, but the impending release of this game would spawn one of the most influential FNAF songs in recent memory. You see, just 6 months before Secret of the Mimic was set to release, a music producer by the name of Extra Tuna would upload a song onto YouTube titled Jackie's Box in anticipation for the upcoming game. Featuring a fast-paced synthy beat, the song itself explores the backstory of a homicidal animatronic known as the Mimic, with various characters interjecting throughout the song to give their nuanced perspectives on its creation. However, due to the song's poorly written lyrics and bizarre delivery, it would quickly become notorious within the FNAF community, with some of the most notable lines including Edwin's introduction. it's like the "My name is Jackie" bar.
My name is Jackie,
Ooh.
and I'm getting backy. Yeah, that's with my cloud power.
And most infamously, the David verse.
My name is David. Dad, I want some ice cream. David, that is my name.
Okay, dude, it is crazy that a human wrote this. Like, it's almost more impressive in a way that this was made by a human as opposed to AI, you know?
I want another.
Like-
David, where is my ball?
Like, a person wrote this.
Where is a car? And this is going to
Like, it's just doing too much, man. This song is like whiplash. It makes you think that it's taking you in one direction and then it instantly does a 180. It's like the modern day Bohemian Rhapsody, you know? Now, due to how unnatural many of the lyrics sounded, many listeners began to theorize that this song was created using AI, and there was no real human involvement whatsoever. This speculation would eventually become so widespread that Extra Tuna himself would pin a comment clarifying that no AI was used in the production of this song. In other words, this song is 100% man-made, and whether that's a good or bad thing is up to you. So I guess the big question now is, where does this song rank on the Bad Internet Music tier list? Well, memes aside, I think we can all acknowledge that this song is pretty bad, and the fact that people thought it was AI generated is a testament to how uncanny it sounds. So as much as it pains me to do, I'm gonna put this song in the bad tier. But let me clarify, although the song certainly is bad, it's bad in the best way possible. Unfortunately, a lot of the songs we'll see in the future do not share that same luxury. Now let's move on to the next entry. Don't Tap the Glass leak. Tyler, the Creator, is a critically acclaimed hip-hop artist, best known for his unique and boundary-pushing music. First debuting back in 2009 with the album Bastard, he has since released 8 other studio albums up until this point, the most recent of which being Don't Tap the Glass, which debuted on July 21st, 2025. Now you may be wondering why an album from a well-respected artist is even featured on this iceberg. Well, just 2 days before Don't Tap the Glass was set to release, an internet user by the name of ClaudeJan would upload a fake AI-generated version of the album onto his YouTube channel. And if you're familiar with Tyler, the Creator's music at all, then it becomes instantly apparent that this is not him.
Don't tap the glass. Don't tap the glass. Don't tap the glass.
Dude, I love how this is just like the most AI-generated slop ever, man. It's like the perfect culmination of AI-generated slop. Now, despite the song's short runtime of 45 seconds, the phrase "don't tap the glass" is said a total of 12 times, which comes out to an average of 1 "don't tap the glass" every 3.75 seconds. Just a cool piece of trivia I thought you guys should know. Anyways, the song ends with this awesome beat drop rivaling even the most iconic 2014 bangers. It's just a beat drop. I love how this just sounds nothing like Tyler, the Creator, you know? It's not his voice, it's not his genre of music. It is just like the most AI-generated slop ever. My god. Now, when it comes to ranking this song on the tier list, I was a little conflicted on where to place it. Although this song certainly isn't something Tyler, the Creator would ever release, the song in itself really wasn't that bad. If the song released back in 2014 or something, I could see it being extremely successful on the radio. It sort of has that Calvin Harris summer banger vibe, you know? So for that reason, I decided to put it in the not bad at all tier. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Dark Evil Beat. The Dark Evil Beat refers to a song created by an underground producer named Boingo. First teased on October 8th, 2023 through a TikTok video, the song wouldn't officially release until a month later, on November 20th, 2023. Categorized as a dance and EDM song, the track features extremely distorted synths, giving it an ear-piercing, rubbery sound. To add insult to injury, the track also samples a fart sound effect consistently throughout its runtime. And as you can imagine, I did not enjoy either of these aspects during my first listen through. Okay. Why? Why do we do this, man? Okay. Okay. Oh! Okay, whoa! Okay, that was loud. That was loud. Alright, turning that lower. Holy! How do you distort the fart sound effect that badly where it sounds like that? You know? Like how? How is that even possible that you're able to do that? That sounded horrific. I'm gonna be honest, this was ass. Literally. Get it? Because, like, the fart sound effect was in the song. Anyways, I'm gonna be honest, this has been one of the most unpleasant songs I have listened to thus far. And because it also left some lingering tinnitus in my ears, it goes in the awful tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Thick of It. KSI is an extremely popular influencer who has amassed a combined total of 40 million subscribers on YouTube alone. Although he has been successful in multiple prominent industries, he still struggles to find consistency in the music industry, with the quality of his songs varying greatly from track to track. And unfortunately, this inconsistency would rear its ugly head with the release of Thick of It on October 3rd, 2024. Featuring the likes of Trippie Redd, the song primarily discusses KSI's rise to prominence, with references to various stages of his career being littered throughout the track. Although the instrumentals of the song are relatively inoffensive, the lyrics struggle from something I like to call cornball syndrome, which is when a song's message becomes trivialized due to how immaturely it is conveyed. This can most famously be seen in KSI's second verse, where he details the timeline of his career. And let's just say, I had some choice words about it. Dude, these are just epic rap battle lyrics, okay? That is the quality of these lyrics. From the screen to the ring, to the pen, I'm the king, that's my bling. Like, that is an epic rap battle of history bar, you know? Also, the music video itself does not help the corny allegations either, with the obnoxious Prime reference literally making me roll my eyes during my reaction. Now, after much consideration, I decided to put this song in the clumsy tier as opposed to the bad tier. Is it extremely corny? Yes. However, the beat itself is fine and the chorus isn't that bad either. If KSI was a better lyricist, or the song released in 2015, it probably would have been received much better by general audiences.
From the screen to the ring to the... Shut the f*** up!
So I think the clumsy tier is a good fit for the song, especially when you compare it to the next song featured on this iceberg, Mask by Dream. First released on May 21st, 2021 by the popular Minecraft YouTuber Dream, the song discusses the various obstacles that Dream faces on a daily basis, and how he uses his mask to cope with these issues, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. This message is best understood by watching the subsequent music video released for this song, which represents these topics in a visual context. Now, unlike some of the other entries on this iceberg, I think it's more beneficial to analyze this song's music video specifically, since it's essentially a one-to-one recreation of the lyrics, and boy do I have a lot to say. Now, believe it or not, if you were to do an in-depth analysis of Dream's music video, you would quickly realize that it follows a plot eerily similar to the 2019 film Joker. Both stories follow a protagonist who becomes disillusioned with society due to a perceived sense of marginalization. This results in them feeling isolated, leading to a growing resentment for both themselves and those around them. And this ultimately leads to the protagonist rejecting society as a whole, and the donning of a mask that represents their newfound ideals. But instead of starting a criminal empire like we see in Joker, Dream just plays Minecraft all day. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious already, the song suffers from cornball syndrome to the max, with some of the most notable highlights including the normal pill scene, and the scene where Dream receives a doctor's note that reads, "You are not normal," and later on in the music video, he retrieves that same note and writes, "And that's okay," on it. Yikes. Anyways, as corny as the song is, I wouldn't consider it to be awful by any means. Sure, the song feels like it's fighting itself most of the time with how abrupt it can be, but Dream himself doesn't give a terrible performance. And I can personally understand why some people enjoy the track. It's catchy, it's emotional, if you're like 13, and we finally got a glimpse into Dream's psychotic mind. But at the end of the day, I would much rather listen to Thick of It by KSI.
Shut the f*** up!
So for that, the song goes comfortably in the bad tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Seabat. On September 21st, 2022, a Reddit user by the name of Tyler Life would make a post on the Today I F***ed Up subreddit detailing some relationship issues with his then girlfriend. The post would discuss a disagreement between the pair over Tyler's tendency to play music during their adult activities, and how he often attempted to match his thrust to the beats of these songs. Unfortunately, his girlfriend was not a fan of this practice, with her taking issue with one song in particular. Tyler would go on to leave a link to this song in his original post, which, when clicked, led to a song that sounded like this. Oh my god. This is Seabat by Hudson Mohawk. First released on July 10th, 2011 as a part of the EP Satin Panthers, the song can most notably be defined for its unique sound, featuring a synth melody reminiscent of a rusty door hinge. As you can imagine, using a song like this during your adult activities isn't the most sound decision, and not too long after his initial post, Tyler would make the unfortunate announcement that he and his girlfriend broke up. Not the ending we wanted, but an ending that was expected. Now, due to the virality of this story, it would irreversibly attach itself to the song, and for better or for worse, the story has now become an integral part of the song's identity. But putting the Reddit post aside for a second, the song itself is not that pleasant to listen to. It's hard for me to even imagine a circumstance where it can be played without people mistaking it for a chair screeching on the floor, unless the track is heavily remixed for a rave, or you're a hyper-specific person that needs it for sex. There is no real context that it can be played in. It's not pleasant to listen to, it's not pleasant to dance to, And with the added stigma of it being related to some dude's life, this song is the first true worst of all time contender. Let's move on to the next entry. I gotta give this up. This entry refers to an extremely bizarre beat created by a TikTok music producer named Mr. Tickle Chops. Already off to a good start with that name. Posted on September 13th, 2024 with the caption, "Think I gotta give this shit up." The video features a timeline of a seemingly innocuous beat, which, when played, sounds like this. Okay, let's wait for the beat to drop to make any split-second judgments, you know? That's, okay. That's not real. That's not a genuine attempt at music. There's no way. There's no way. I'm gonna be honest, the beat was not for me, but the mobile game people need to start reaching out to this guy. He has a clear talent for that genre, you know? Now, originally, I had placed this beat in the bad tier due to how unintentionally childish it was. However, after some reconsideration, I decided to move it into the clumsy tier instead. Is it something I would listen to if it came on the radio? No, certainly not. But if it was something I heard in a kid's game, I probably wouldn't even bat an eye, to be honest. So I think the clumsy tier is a more fitting spot for this track. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Friday. This entry refers to one of the most infamous songs to ever come from the internet. Simply titled Friday, the teen pop single was released as a collaborative effort between the production company, Arc Music Factory, and the then 13-year-old aspiring pop star, Rebecca Black. First released on September 16, 2011, the song describes Rebecca's anticipation for the weekend as she goes about her daily routine, with her looking forward to a party scheduled that upcoming Friday specifically. Now, although the song would go on to garner over 175 million views on YouTube alone, it was anything but a success, as it was heavily criticized online for its poorly written lyrics and extensive reliance on autotune. And unfortunately, this criticism would extend beyond the song, with internet users attacking Black to the point where it severely impacted her mental health. Obviously, it doesn't take a saint to recognize that this is extremely messed up, especially because Rebecca herself was barely a teenager when all of this was unfolding. However, on a brighter note, Rebecca seems to have moved past the entire Friday saga, and has even released a remix of the song over on her YouTube channel, to much more positive reception. I'll leave a link to her channel down below if you guys want to check it out, since she's still releasing music even after being essentially crucified by the internet, which is extremely admirable in my opinion. Anyways, upon re-listening to the song for the first time in over 10 years, it really wasn't as bad as people online made it out to be. Don't get me wrong, there certainly are issues with it, including its repetitive nature and lyrical quality, but the song itself is not nearly as bad as the initial backlash would have you believe. In my original ranking, I had put this song in the clumsy tier, since its poor quality can largely be attributed to the production team's inexperience as opposed to Black herself. However, I ultimately decided to move it into the bad tier instead, because I don't think who's at fault for the song sounding bad should influence its ranking, so I'm comfortable keeping it in that tier. Also, on a side note, I just want to point out that there's this really weird part of the song where this random dude appears and just starts rapping for some reason.
Rebecca Black.
What the? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Why is he here? It's towards the end of the song, so I don't really blame you if you've never noticed it, but not once is this guy credited within the video or description. I later found out that this was a guy named Patrice Wilson, who just so happened to be one of the producers of Friday, and I guess he just inserted himself into the song because he could. So yeah, that's a fun little factoid for you all. And with that final entry, we have just completed the first layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg. Overall, I would say that was a pretty well-balanced layer, all things considered. We had a few songs for every tier, and we even had one worst of all time contender. However, if this is anything like the other icebergs, this is where things get progressively worse. So without further ado, let's dive into the second layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg, the shallow waters. Let's dive right in, shall we? If the Joker could beatbox. In 2017, an internet user by the name of 80fits would ask himself a question that would change the course of humanity forever. What if the Joker could beatbox? Mesmerized with this riveting question, he would set out to recreate this hypothetical situation in a controlled environment. This would ultimately result in the now infamous If the Joker Could Beatbox video. Uploaded on December 14th, 2017, the song combines the musical art form of beatboxing with various aspects of the Joker's persona, with his iconic laugh being one of the most notable inclusions.
Why so serious?
Now, despite Fitz's legendary performance, the video would go mostly unnoticed by mainstream audiences until 2021, when the song started to be shared via re-uploads online. This would ultimately lead to a producer by the name of Juan McCready Productions to create a Nightcore remix of this track. And this remix builds off of the original work in a fascinating way.
Why so serious?
It really isn't that bad, all things considered, either. That's like the worst part. It's not that bad.
Why so serious?
Okay, that was a little scuffed. Also, I just wanted to point out that because Juan McCready clumsily ripped this video straight off of 80fits' channel, he forgot to cut out the subsequent outro of the video.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you guys want to see
So it's just included in the Nightcore remix.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you guys want to see my process and like how I develop a routine, just let me know in the comments and maybe like in a future.
That's the best part of this video, honestly. Now, when it comes to ranking this song on the tier list, if I were ranking the original beatbox by 80fits, I probably would have put it in the not bad at all tier, since it really captures the essence of the Joker. But because this entry is referencing the Nightcore variant specifically, I'm gonna knock it down a peg and put it in the clumsy tier instead. This is mostly because Juan McCready failed to cut the outro out, but it's whatever, I guess. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Karma. Jojo Siwa is one of the most prolific and controversial content creators to come out of the past decade. Originally kickstarting her career as a contestant on the reality TV show Dance Moms, she would eventually make the transition to YouTube as a means to more easily connect with her fanbase. This decision would prove to be a good one, since Jojo would go on to become one of the most popular content creators on the platform. As you can imagine, Jojo's popularity on the internet would lead to many successful business endeavors, including an extremely popular merch line and a budding music career, both of which were primarily marketed towards younger audiences. And this is where we get to the crux of the issue. In 2024, Jojo would make the shocking announcement that she was going to shed her child-friendly image and take her career in a more adult direction.
This moment of making it very clear that we are going from child star to adult artist, and this moment will come within the next
soon. I think the way you're looking at this,
This abrupt rebrand would also be accompanied by 5 brand new songs, the most notable of which being none other than the subject of this entry, Karma. First released on April 4th, 2024, the song discusses Jojo's past promiscuity and how it led to a breakup that left her with a sense of lingering regret. This message is conveyed over an electropop beat with some interesting choreography to boot. Now, if it wasn't obvious already, Jojo's appearance within this music video is a little out of touch with how an adult rebrand should look like. It sort of feels like how an innocent child would imagine an edgy adult to be like. And this aspect of the song, combined with the bizarre dance moves, would result in it being heavily scrutinized online, with this comment pretty much summing up the public's opinion of this track. However, upon my first listen through, I actually didn't think the song was that bad. I would even go as far as to say that once you get past all the cringy shit, it's actually pretty good. It's got a good beat, catchy chorus, and Jojo Siwa, lover or hater, gives a decent vocal performance. So I guess the question now is, why all the hate then? Well, aside from the cringe aspect, I think the main issue people had with this song had less to do with its quality and more to do with the insincerity behind it all. It just feels so forced and disingenuous because it contradicts everything we know about Jojo. Like, the song is constantly referencing her cheating on her partner and doing all of these bad things. But we all watched her grow up on the internet, And I think it's pretty obvious based on her digital footprint that she wasn't doing any of this stuff. So it comes off as especially jarring when JoJo abruptly morphs from this child star into Edgelord 9000. However, even with all the baggage this song has, I still think the song itself is pretty decent all things considered. So I made the controversial decision to put it in the not bad at all tier. I think one of the reasons I liked it so much was because it wasn't actually written by JoJo at all. You see, this song was originally written back in 2012 for an artist named Britt Smith, with the intention of it being her debut single. However, these plans ultimately fell through, and the song would later be recycled for JoJo's rebrand. So yeah, that's better. Also, on a completely unrelated note, there's this scene in the music video where JoJo falls into the water dramatically and swims to an island to do her epic dance moves. But I guess the producers didn't know how to get her back on the boat, so they just reversed the scene where she fell in, and it looks as goofy as you would expect. Oh my god. They did not just do that. There's no way they actually just unironically just Anyways, with all of that being said, let's move on to the next entry. Litmus. Jake Paul is an extremely popular YouTuber who has amassed over 20 million subscribers on the platform alone. Although most people would associate him with boxing nowadays, back in 2017, he was most well known for his viral vlog series, and more importantly, his controversial music career. During this time period, Jake Paul would release an absurd amount of songs onto his YouTube channel, with many people considering Everyday Bro to be one of his worst. But believe it or not, there is one song in his discography that is far more egregious, and that song is Litmus. First released on December 1st, 2017, the song discusses how lit Christmas is. Yeah, that's it. As you can imagine, the song itself is mostly what you would expect from 2017 Jake Paul. It's obnoxious, poorly made, and the lyrics are just not good, with one of my favorite bars being when Jake Paul abruptly trauma dumps about his parents' divorce. However, what earns this song a spot on the tier list isn't the bad lyrics or how annoying it is, but rather the chorus itself, which is, in my opinion, one of the worst choruses ever recorded in human history. Seriously, go listen to it for yourself. It sounds like a caveman trying to speak English for the first time. Also, I just wanted to point out that this song features a rapper named Slim Jimmy, who just so happened to get arrested in 2022 for allegedly assaulting the mother of his child. So yeah, not a good dude. Anyways, I ended up putting this song in the worst of all time contender tier. The song suffers from a lot of issues, the most egregious of which being how incohesive it is. The way the chorus is both sung and implemented completely ruins the entire pacing of the song. At least with tracks like Everyday Bro, you can tell it's all one song no matter what part you're listening to. But Litmus feels like two songs combined into one track. It's part bad Christmas rap and part caveman grunting. Horrifying, primal, caveman grunting. Anyways, let's move on to the next entry. On the Floor. Ice JJ Fish is a fairly well-known music artist who first rose to prominence in 2013 with his debut single, On the Floor. The song itself describes Ice JJ Fish's infatuation with a love interest, and how he constantly fantasizes about sleeping with her. This subject matter is conveyed over a smooth and soulful beat, which perfectly captures the intimacy of the topic. Now, believe it or not, the reason this song would go viral had nothing to do with the visual content of the music video, or even the lyrics themselves, but rather, how the lyrics were sung, with Ice JJ Fish opting to use an eerily high-pitched voice during his performance. I would show you what I mean by this, but some rapper named Nardo Wick used a sample of On the Floor in his song, and now Sony is copyright claiming the entire thing as their own. Awesome stuff. Anyways, Ice JJ Fish's uniquely high-pitched vocals would result in widespread speculation that he was an elaborate troll, and had created the song as some sort of publicity stunt. However, neither of these claims have ever been verified in any meaningful way, so whether he's a troll or not is still up for debate. Now, after thoroughly listening to the song, I ended up putting it in the clumsy tier. Sure, the vocals are borderline unforgivable, but the structure of a good song was there. In fact, I even found an alternate version of On the Floor, where someone replaced Ice JJ Fish's high-pitched performance with a more grounded one, and it surprisingly sounded really good, which means Ice JJ Fish was onto something. He just executed it poorly. So I think that fact alone justifies the clumsy tier placement. Now, the next couple of entries don't really have any meaningful backstories to them, and I don't want to yap on and on about stuff that really isn't that interesting. So for the sake of this video, we're gonna speedrun through the next few entries until we get back to the good stuff. So with that being said, let's begin. Starting with the worst possible 808s. This beat was created by a TikTok producer named Michael Kata Official as an attempt to create the worst beat possible, with him primarily utilizing 808s specifically to accomplish this goal. And here's how it sounded. That sounds horrifying, man. That horse came straight from the pits of hell. Like, dude. The way he made that horse sound by that's unforgettable, man, and unforgivable. Holy. Now, although this beat was created ironically, I think we can all agree that it sounds horrific. Everything from the ear-piercing sound effects to the horse sample makes it almost unbearable to listen to. This is a certified awful tier song. Serious sounding melody. This entry refers to a beat uploaded on the music production subreddit by a user named Joe but non-average. The post itself is relatively straightforward, with Joe simply asking for advice on how he could make one of his beats more serious sounding. Little did anyone know at the time, but this would prove to be an extremely difficult task, since the beat that Joe would provide in his post sounded like this. Okay. Man, this is not it. I don't even know how you fix this. It's just destined to be Fall Guys music. That's all it really is at this point. Dude, even the little get this guy on the Fall Guys sound team right away. Now, although the beat itself isn't necessarily bad, at least by Fall Guys standards, it's clear that Joe was going for a more serious sound. So for that, this beat goes in the clumsy tier. 9/11 was not real. This entry refers to a track created by the SoundCloud rapper Sober K, uploaded on the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. The song discusses some of Sober K's skepticism revolving around the tragedy. That's pretty much it. This is how it sounded, by the way.
Take a flight all the way to America to take another flight at Monster fucking Towers. That shit don't sound right. Hold on, I ain't run out of breath on that shit. Finished. Hold on, how the butter came from all the way from the Middle East? Ain't nobody take his fucking credentials. That shit don't sound right.
I mean, hey. He kinda has a point, I'm not gonna lie. Why didn't we have their credentials? I'm gonna be honest, as funny as the song is, I can't put this anywhere else but the bad tier. The only reason it's not going into the awful tier is because Sober K was making some decent points, all things considered. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on from this entry before I get put on a watch list or something. I Play Pokemon Go. This entry refers to a song created by brothers Mikal and Ulrich Florian about the popular mobile game Pokemon Go. Released back in 2016, the song discusses the youngest brother, Mikal's, obsession with the game and how he plays it every single day. This aspect of the song is reiterated multiple times throughout the track, with the phrase "I play Pokemon Go every day" making up 71% of the song's total lyrics. And because Mikal was only 9 years old during the creation of this song, he didn't have the best performance, to say the least. I'm gonna be honest, man, people were way too harsh to this kid back in the day. Like, don't get me wrong, the song does sound like ass, but a kid made it, okay? Give him a break. In my original ranking, I had put this song in the clumsy tier because Mikal was a kid when he created it, and I wanted to be nice. But then I remembered that I have to judge the song for what it is without letting any external factors influence my opinion. So I decided to move the song up to the awful tier for obvious reasons. Okay, that's enough speedrunning entries for now. Let's dive back into some of the more interesting songs. Thomas Jefferson type beat. This entry refers to a mysterious piece of music that first started circulating online in 2020 when a SoundCloud rapper by the name of Travis Zantana posted an Instagram story discussing how somebody sent him the beat online. And for those curious, this is how it sounded. You know? Dude, what's crazy is that is just like a great way to describe how that sounded. Once again, man, I am puzzled. How do you even conceptualize this? Like how do you come up with this? Now, after listening to this beat for the first time, I was very curious as to who actually created it. And after doing some digging, I eventually came across a producer by the name of Connix Music. Connix himself has a very interesting discography, as the majority of his songs attempt to combine elements of classical music with trap and hip-hop beats, and his infamous Thomas Jefferson type beat, officially titled Hear Ye, is no exception to this. Now, when it comes to ranking this beat on the tier list, I honestly can't really say anything bad about it. Sure, the mixture of classical and trap is an interesting creative decision, but Connix actually manages to pull it off surprisingly well, so I'm gonna put this track in the not bad at all tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Shawty Wanna Maxeboy is a mysterious internet rapper whose online presence dates as far back as 2009, with his debut single, Shawty Wanna The song itself describes a young woman referred to as Shawty, and how Maxeboy wants to fool around with her, with him taking a keen interest in her rear end specifically. This aspect of her body is referenced constantly throughout the track, with lines such as, "She's got a lot of class, big hoop earrings and a big round ass," emphasizing Maxeboy's infatuation with her hindquarters. These lyrics are accompanied by a music video, which consists of Maxeboy himself toasting to the camera whilst clouds roll peacefully in the background. And let me tell you, the music video combined with the lyrics makes first listening to this song almost ethereal.
Shawty wanna fuck. Shawty likes to rock. She's got a big oily butt, a big round wet McMuffin.
A big round wet McMuffin, man. Like, what a creative way to describe a woman with a large rump. Also, towards the end of this song, Maxeboy just suddenly begins harmonizing for some reason, and I'm all for it, to be honest. Whoa. What a fantastic... Okay. Now, believe it or not, Maxeboy has recently gone on to remaster this track over on his YouTube channel, reviving this internet classic for a new generation to come. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you guys want to check it out. Anyways, I'm gonna put this song in the not bad at all tier. Despite its questionable nature, the song is surprisingly enjoyable to listen to. It's catchy, the lyrics are funny, and the vocals, although heavily auto-tuned, give the song a unique charm. So I think the not bad at all tier is a good spot for it. Now let's move on to the next entry. This is 67 Hertz. This entry refers to a mysterious video that Chan stumbled across while gathering entries for this project. At first glance, the video is relatively unassuming, simply reading, "This is 67 Hertz. This helps you sleep peacefully," with a little extra note at the bottom stating, "Stay as long as you need." However, this song was anything but peaceful, because it sounded like this.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go time for you.
Oh, that's okay. There were plenty of things running through my mind as to what this would sound like. That was not one of them. Dude, the crazy part is that sounds pretty good, man. So I guess the big question now is, who exactly created this song? Well, after doing some research, I discovered that this lullaby was created by a TikToker named Andy Arthur Smith. In the original video, Andy claims that this song can be used to stop babies from crying. Of course, because this is the internet, multiple people would attempt to use this sound to calm their irate children. And surprisingly enough, Andy's lullaby actually worked a lot of the time. I'm not really sure what to take away from this, but yeah. Anyways, I decided to put this song in the not bad at all tier. Not only was the song really not that bad, but it also accomplished what it was created to do, which earns the song some extra brownie points in my book. Also, Andy said that this lullaby works on adults as well, so I might try it out one night just to see how it goes. Anyways, let's move on to the next entry. Jonkler. Gavin Z Beats is an internet producer who first rose to prominence with his aggressive funk remixes of various popular songs, the most notable of which being none other than Jonkler itself. First released on September 10th, 2024, the song is a remix of a track we're all too familiar with at this point. If the Joker Could Beatbox. Yeah, this is the second time this beatbox has appeared on this iceberg, and I hope it's the last, because Gavin's rendition of this song is one of the most ear-piercing things I have ever heard. Oh brother, here we go.
Why so serious?
Dude, oh my god. It's another If the Joker Could Beatbox remix. No way, man. This song is gonna haunt this tier list. Surprisingly, this is not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, it's not even as bad as the Not Like Us funk remix. It's actually pretty decent up. Oh my god! Holy! Yeah, I gotta turn that down a little bit, I think. That was loud. Yeah. Alright, now I understand why it's on this list. It's like, dude, it's not even music, man. It's just noises. It's literally just noises. Like, yeah. Dude, don't you just love it when your music sounds like an industrial factory? Oh, that's my favorite genre. Just industrial factory music. Like industrial machinery. That's great. That's great. The beatbox. Okay. Alright. I think we've heard all that this song has to offer. Now, when it comes to ranking Jonkler on the tier list, I have to reiterate that even if a song was created with the intention of it being bad, that doesn't influence where it's placed. And boy is Jonkler one of the worst pieces of music I have ever heard. There is truly nothing redeeming about it. It's loud, obnoxious, and it makes me feel like I'm having a stroke when I listen to it. And as I said previously, it's not even really music at this point. It's just noise. Loud, obnoxious noise. So for that, I decided to put this song in the worst of all time contender tier. I hate it, and I cannot imagine anyone listening to this more than one time. Or scratch that, more than half a time. And with that final entry, we have just completed the second layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg. I have some mixed feelings about that layer. We had two worst of all time contenders, both of which were horrific in completely different ways, if I'm being honest. However, that is only the second layer. We still have 3 more to go. So without further ado, let's dive into the third layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg, the Twilight Zone. Let's dive right in, shall we? Picklecopia. Tyler the Creator is an artist that is no stranger to this iceberg, with the first entry of this video being dedicated to one of his alleged songs. However, believe it or not, that wasn't the first time a fraudulent version of his music would be shared online. Back in 2024, Tyler was gearing up for the release of his highly anticipated album, Chromacopia, with the project set to officially release on October 28th of that year. But unbeknownst to him at the time, one of the songs allegedly featured on this album would begin mysteriously circulating online. Titled Picklecopia, the track features an AI version of Tyler rapping about the popular fictional character, Pickle Rick, with the majority of the lyrics referencing this pop culture figure in one way or the other. And let's just say, it's an interesting listen to say the least.
Chromacopia green, like Pickle Rick. Chromacopia, I've got the cold, I'm pretty sick. Mocha Starbucks, coffee, hot brown drink.
I'm gonna be honest, this could be something. There's a few questionable verses in the AI generated song, but besides that, it's pretty hot, I'm not gonna lie.
Everyone just say, hey Tyler, drop music. Well, I dropped music, here is my music.
Okay, was the AI glitching out right there? Why did he just start mumbling? By the way, I'm not sure if this was intentional or not, but halfway through the song, it abruptly takes on a Christmas theme for some reason, and I don't really know what to think of it, to be honest. What prompt did this person enter into their AI model to get this outcome? We're talking about Pickle Rick, okay? Let's stay on topic. Now, after doing some digging, I was able to determine that this song was created by a user named Itchyluff, using a combination of AI and a drum loop from Splice. These two aspects of the song mesh surprisingly well considering they were created independently, and I actually found myself enjoying the track quite a bit. Sure, the lyrics are goofy, and there are a few times when the AI kind of bugs out, but besides that, this is something I can genuinely see Tyler releasing. So Picocopia goes in the not bad at all tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Freaky Inside Out 2 song. Benji X Scarlet is a YouTube channel primarily known for their musical parodies of various kids shows and movies, with some of their most notable works being dedicated to the Inside Out franchise. Despite the numerous Inside Out parodies they have released over the years, one song in particular stands out from the rest, and that is none other than the Freaky Inside Out 2 song. First released on September 2nd, 2024, the song depicts the Inside Out 2 cast discussing how freaky they feel. And that's pretty much it. As you can imagine, the subject matter of this parody results in some very questionable lyrics, to put it lightly.
Y'all ready to get freaky on the dance floor?
Dude,
Let's see how freaky you
oh
can
my
get.
god.
Oh. Okay.
Bro, like how do you even conceptualize this, man?
Hi, I'm Freaky Joy. Don't treat me like a toy.
You know, I kind of don't like that bar because I feel like this is a music video for kids, so I feel like that's a little weird to put in there. Or already it's weird to have a Freaky Inside Out 2 song. Oh yeah, I can't wait for Freaky Sadness. Let's see what Freaky Sadness has to say.
Hi, I'm Freaky Sadness. Being freaky brings me gladness.
Okay.
Freaky fear.
Is this AI? This has to be AI, right? It has to be. There's no way like an actual person came up with this and recorded this. At least I hope not. Now, during my initial reaction, I had written off this song as nothing more than a poorly animated parody of Inside Out. However, towards the end of the music video, Benji himself just randomly makes a cameo, and he ends up giving a guitar solo before spitting a few bars to wrap up the song, which is kinda cool, I guess. I'm gonna be honest, I have mixed feelings about this song. On one hand, I really hate the subject matter, especially because it's marketed towards children. But on the other hand, the song itself really wasn't that bad, especially the chorus, which was surprisingly catchy all things considered. Also low-key Benji was spitting towards the end, but that's a conversation for another day. I was leaning towards putting this song in the clumsy tier, but then I remembered this moment where the embarrassed emotion just randomly screams midway through the song. So yeah, because of that, this song goes in the bad tier. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Rick and Morty theme by Elvis Presley. I'm sure we're all familiar with the adult cartoon, Rick and Morty. The show itself is known for a variety of different things, with its memorable characters, vulgar humor, and Pickle Rick being some of the most notable aspects of the show. However, one of the most recognizable parts of this series is the intro song that plays before every episode. And this is where things get a little weird. Back in 2022, rumors began circulating online of an authentic Elvis Presley cover of this song. And as you can imagine, there was a lot of skepticism surrounding this rumor, as Rick and Morty first began airing in 2013, 36 years after Presley's death. But surprisingly enough, these rumors would ultimately be verified when a YouTuber by the name of JC Foster released a part of this demo tape on his YouTube channel. But since this was only a snippet of the song, the rest of it would remain lost media until 2025, when a different YouTuber by the name of The Sad Insomniac would release the entire demo tape on their channel. So I guess the question now is, was it worth the wait? Well, I'll let you decide. Okay. Brother. Alright, let's hear Elvis. Okay. I really have no idea what to think about that. I can't even really criticize it because it was pretty good, all things considered. I don't really have much to say about that, so let's just get to the ranking. Now, I hate to break it to you guys, but this wonderful performance by Elvis is AI generated. I know, it sucks to hear, but the guy's been dead for nearly 50 years at this point. What did you expect? Unless Sony desecrated his grave and resurrected him to squeeze some more pennies out of his corpse, which, to be fair, is not out of the realm of possibility, this song can be considered fake. However, as inauthentic as it may be, I kind of have a soft spot for it. AI Elvis himself gives a solid performance, and the lyrics match the intro extremely well. It's honestly hard for me to even say anything negative about this track, so it goes in the not bad at all tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman is a song first released in 1954 by the female vocal quartet, the Chordettes. Known for its upbeat and catchy lyrics, the song describes a conversation between the narrator and a metaphorical being known as Mr. Sandman, with the narrator asking Mr. Sandman to grant her wish, which, in this case, is an ideal partner. Now, if we were to stop right there, this would be nothing more than a wholesome love song catered towards yearning women across the world. If only it were so simple. On September 15th, 2017, a SoundCloud producer by the name of Tasty Chips would release a club remix of this song, and it is one of the most interesting things I've heard thus far. They cooked a little too hard with this, man. I'm not sure if I'm impressed by that track or if I'm like horrified by it, man. I have such mixed emotions on how that sounded. Yeah, that song is a lot to take in. But despite how abrupt and janky it is, it's probably one of my favorite entries yet. It's sort of one of those things where it's so bad that it's good. Like, the transition from Mr. Sandman to the club aspect of the song is absolutely mwah, chef's kiss. I'm gonna put this song in the bad tier. It's not inherently awful because it could work at like a rave or something, but I also wouldn't consider it clumsily made either. So the bad tier seems like a good spot for it. Let's move on to the next entry. These next few entries don't really have any interesting backstories, so for the sake of this video's runtime, we're gonna speedrun past them once again. Okay, ready? Let's begin. Chill Dark Maga Beats to Study 2. This entry refers to a YouTube video catered primarily towards Trump supporters. Titled Chill Dark Maga Beats to Study 2, the video simply consists of lo-fi remixes of popular music combined with samples of Donald Trump speeches. And that's pretty much it. Not bad at all. Aside from the occasional Donald Trump sample, there's nothing particularly notable about these remixes, but some of them are pretty good. How the f you do this? This entry refers to a video that's origins I couldn't determine, captioned, how the f you do this. The video depicts a producer struggling to create a decent sounding beat, with the beat featured within this video sounding like this. Alright. You cannot tell me that these are genuine attempts at creating music, man. It sounds like the way an Animal Crossing person speaks, you know? Like, when you look at it from that perspective, it's not that bad. It doesn't sound that... Bad tier. This one person commented bacteria music, and now I can't get that image out of my head. This beat was made. This entry refers to a beat created by a TikTok producer named YoungShitta12. I'll let the track speak for itself.
This beat was made.
Okay.
I'm on the beat.
Okay, hold up. Okay.
Perfect.
Dude. What? Bro. You know, the disappointment that I feel right now is my fault, okay? I don't know why I would ever think that this song would go somewhere. I'm gonna be honest. Clumsy tier. The beat has potential, but I cannot forgive how goofy that flute sounded. Okay, speedrun over. Let's continue with some of the more interesting entries. Spider-Man's Funhouse. This entry refers to a song originating from the 1995 video game, Spider-Man. Released for both the SNES and Sega Genesis, the game is your stereotypical side-scrolling action game, complete with 6 levels for the SNES version and 5 for the Sega Genesis one. However, the song we'll be discussing for this entry can only be found in the Sega Genesis version of the game. Simply titled Funhouse, the song was composed by Fletcher Beasley as background music for the level Coney Island and the Funhouse. The level itself is visually eccentric, featuring a striking color palette and fairground imagery strewn throughout. This outlandish setting inevitably influenced Beasley's take on the background music. And spoiler alert, that is not a good thing, because he would unleash one of the most horrific pieces of music the gaming industry has ever seen. Okay. Alright. Okay. It's a little odd. Okay. Alright. We're using the little yee sample too much already. There's already 3 of them in the span of 14 seconds. Okay. It's just like the same 3 samples over and over again. This is a Quandale Dingle song, before Quandale Dingle was even a thing. Like, this song was ahead of its time, man. Okay. It's like, dude, it is so just vigorously like... It's just so aggressively like attention seeking, you know? How would you as a player listen to this and not instantly be drawn away from the gameplay? You know, like drawn out of it. As I continued listening to the song, I couldn't help but feel as if I was slowly going insane. But the worst part was yet to come, because Beasley seemed to have felt the need to also incorporate glass shattering noises into the track as well, which is just as unpleasant to listen to as you would expect. It's puzzling. Like that is ear piercing, man. You wanna know what's crazy? Some poor kid in the 1990s probably got his ass whipped because of this song. Overall, this song left me with a sense of lingering dread, not because it was bad or anything, although it certainly was, but because of the realistic chance that this OST got some kid's ass beat in the 90s. I'm gonna put it in the awful tier. It really just isn't that enjoyable to listen to. Like, at all. The constant and abrupt sampling of clown laughs is extremely obnoxious to say the least. It honestly sounds like something a TikTok producer would make ironically nowadays. And with the addition of the glass shattering noise, I'm comfortable keeping the track in that tier. Let's move on to the next entry. It's My Life, Whatever I Wanna Do. Vanu Malesh is a renowned music artist hailing from the great nation of India. First launching his YouTube channel back in 2008, it would remain mostly inactive for the first few years of its existence. That is, until 2012, when he would release his debut single, It's My Life, Whatever I Wanna Do. Featuring the likes of Lipsika Bashyam, the song discusses Vanu's attitude towards those who doubt him, and how these critiques only motivate him to succeed. This deep premise is heavily reflected within the lyrics, with bars such as, "My teacher scolds me that I neglect education. She don't know I collect real education." And, "My neighbor thinks I am wasting my time. He don't know that he is wasting his time," emphasizing this deeply personal aspect of his life. The song is pretty much just 4 minutes of that, so I'm not gonna really show it, but I highly encourage you guys to check it out on your free time. Anyways, the song's bizarre yet catchy lyrics would garner the attention of internet audiences across the world, and the single now has over 36 million views as of the recording of this video. Despite the good reception this song received from casual audiences, it was heavily panned by music critics online, with many of them referring to the song as mind-numbingly cringe and cringe pop. Interestingly enough, in 2020, Vanu would do an interview about the song where he would address the cringe pop label that it had received, stating, "I don't know who created it, but it's their opinion. I don't know what cringe pop means." Well said, Vanu. Well said. Now, as much as I adore this song, I ended up putting it in the clumsy tier. As catchy as it is, most of the lyrics were composed of broken English, and some of them were outright questionable, with one of the most notable examples being when Vanu claims he is a kids lover. Like, bro, there has to be a better way to phrase that. Also, for some reason, there was this really loud glass shattering sound that appeared randomly throughout the track. Again, man, what is up with the crash noises? So yeah, I think the clumsy tier is a good spot for Vanu's song. And with that final entry, we have just completed the third layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg. There were a lot of interesting entries in that layer. However, none of them were worst of all time contenders, I would say. Spider-Man's Funhouse certainly was close though. Hopefully we won't run into any other songs like that, but I'm willing to bet we will. Guys, 1 like equals 1 metal pipe over my head. Anyways, let's move on to the 4th layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg, the depths. Let's dive right in, shall we? Worst background music ever. This entry refers to a video posted on March 18th, 2022 by a user named CogniTV. The video itself is relatively innocent at first glance, primarily being a tutorial for farming cave moss in the popular video game Elden Ring. But what makes this Elden Ring tutorial extremely distinct compared to others like it is its horrendous background music, which just so happens to sound like this. Okay. Bro, they can't be serious, right? At what point do we distinguish music from noises, right? This is just noises. There's no cohesion. There's no music theory to this. It's just a random noise. Like, bro, this is not it, man. This is not it. Oh, wait. Dude, just a little Elden Ring guy walking around with this little pointy ass hat. Like, you couldn't write a better script, man. You really couldn't. Yeah. I think we can all agree that this background music wasn't the best choice for an Elden Ring farming guide. But there is still one question that has yet to be answered, and that's, where exactly did this song come from? Well, after doing some digging, I was able to determine that this track came from the PlayStation 5 video editing app, Share Factory. Titled Bow Down, the song is one of the standard tracks featured on the platform that can be used for free. This, of course, implies that CogniTV used this program to edit his video, and haphazardly selected this song as its background music, which certainly was a choice of all time. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the worst songs I've heard so far. I'm struggling to even find a situation besides cave moss farming where this track could be used. This is a certified worst of all time contender. Let's move on to the next entry. Nunia. The story of this entry begins when a producer named TankGirl9000 uploaded an Instagram story with the caption, "Never selling a beat again." Featured within this post would be a song titled Nunia a PDF file, which was created by a SoundCloud rapper named Tyrone the Rapper. The song itself is a diss track on a person named Noonie, and primarily accuses him of being a PDF file. Or at least, that's what I assume is being discussed, because I cannot understand a word this guy is saying. Bro, what? Did this song come straight out of hell, man? Somebody pull out the Ouija board. Pull out the Ouija board, let's help this young man. How am I even supposed to rate this? It's just noises, man. It's incomprehensible. That's a future insane asylum patient. Wow. Okay, sorry. Now, interestingly enough, Tyrone would later clarify that Noonie was in fact not a predator, and one of his friends lied to him. And if that's true, why even keep the diss track up in the first place? Seriously, Noonie is out here getting his name dragged through the mud because of this. That's f***ed up. Anyways, I'm gonna put this song in the awful tier. It sort of sounds like Tyrone was possessed by a demonic entity while recording this song, and I really hope he gets the help he needs. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Twitch's Eye. Twitch's Eye is an extremely infamous parody of the song Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. Created by the VTuber Nuxtaku, the song criticizes the live streaming platform Twitch for their lackluster moderation surrounding provocative content, with Nux himself proclaiming throughout the song that Twitch is the equivalent of Thai at this point. Although some may consider Nux's critique of Twitch to be valid in some regard, the way he chooses to go about it is perhaps one of the worst ways possible, with his Reddit humor and poorly written lyrics completely trivializing any valid point that he may have had. In other words, good message, wrong messenger. Anyways, I'm gonna put this song in the awful tier. The Reddit humor is just too much for me, man. I guess there's a reason he deleted it though, so yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the next entry. Sonic Eraser. Sonic Eraser is a puzzle game released in 1991 for the Sega Genesis. The game itself is relatively unremarkable at first glance, primarily being a Sonic-themed knockoff of Tetris. Now, although the game probably would have been forgotten given enough time, one of the soundtracks featured within it would cement its legacy on the internet forever. Simply titled Versus, the song was composed by longtime Sega sound engineer Masaru Setsumaru as the background music for the Versus mode within the game. Despite the track itself being relatively consistent with how video game OSTs sounded at the time, Setsumaru would confusingly use this awful percussion sound throughout the song, making it feel like you were being concussed every 5 seconds. Oh, dude, that percussion, man. Dude, alright, that's gonna get turned down. Holy, man! Bro, there's no way this is real. Bro, they just keep going with the percussion! It's like every 5 seconds you're getting hit with a metal pipe in the head, man. Dude. The double down to is crazy. They have like a 3D sound, so you hear it in your right ear and then your left ear, man. Every 3 seconds you're getting hit with a metal pipe. And it's not even funny either, it's just aggressively annoying. I'm gonna be honest, there is absolutely no way that they could have executed that any worse. As you can imagine, having a song simulate getting hit with a metal pipe over and over again isn't the best listening experience. I can only feel sorry for all the kids in the 90s who got CTE from this track. Awful tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Gaining Purity. This entry refers to a song created by an up-and-coming artist named Stoizies. Titled Gaining Purity, the song discusses Stoizies' attempt to resist his lustful urges in order to conserve them for his significant other. That's pretty much it. I'll let the song speak for itself. Dude, he's so into it, man. You could say all you want about the song being out there, right? But it's not bad, really. It is not that bad. And I agree with the message. I agree with what this guy is saying. I really love how he's just so into it too, man. He's so... haven't busted in a minute, my heart's in it. You could tell that those lyrics were written because of his own personal experience, right? It's almost admirable in a way. It really is. So, as you can tell, Stoizies gives a very passionate performance, which honestly shows me that this song came straight from the heart, or I guess you could say the nuts, since the song is talking about not jorking it. Anyways, I'm gonna put this song in the not bad at all tier. Sure, it's not something I would be bumping in the car with my windows rolled down, but if they were rolled up, that's a different story. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Reddit is awesome. LRMS Kevin, or just Kevin for short, is a TikToker who primarily uploads songs and explanation videos about topics he's interested in, with his most viewed song being none other than the subject of this entry, Reddit is Awesome. Uploaded on May 30th, 2025, the song describes various aspects of the platform, and how Kevin personally feels about them. Now, aside from the song praising Reddit, which is already a no-go in my book, Kevin goes a little overboard with the auto-tune, resulting in him sounding more like a droid from Star Wars as opposed to an actual person. Alright, so this next song is just called Reddit is Awesome. With a title like that, I'm not really looking forward to what I'm about to witness, but we'll give it a chance, right? Okay. Content. Bro, the mic peak with the auto-tune sounds horrific, man. It is ear-piercing, that verse right there. Dude, I really like how you would not be able to understand what this guy was saying without the subtitles, man. It's like the subtitles come in clutch here. platform. Oh, God. Oh, he's vocalizing at the end. Wow. Bravo. Bravo, man. That was a marvelous anthem for Reddit. Genuinely. I don't think he could have just... Alright, we just got suctioned into another song by this guy. We have to ignore it for the sake of the tier list and Iceberg. Let's go back to the Reddit song. Overall, I think this entry is a certified bad tier song. It's got everything from a bad premise to barely negligible lyrics. But at the very least, it is listenable and goofy in a good way. In fact, I've actually grown to appreciate the song quite a bit. I'm even following Kevin now as I await his next single. I love you, Kevin. I'm a big fan. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Mosquito Part 5. Mosquito Part 5 is a SoundCloud song created by an underground artist named Narnia Sect. First uploaded on May 20th, 2021. The song is your stereotypical shitpost song, featuring a variety of meme sound effects and a goofy beat to top it all off. However, where this song differs from others like it is primarily due to the vocal performance that Narnia Sect gives. And let me tell you, there is a reason why this song is called Mosquito Part 5. Bro, we gotta be serious, man. It's like, it's just gonna be another post song, that's all it is. I've heard a million of these already tonight. Okay. I'm beginning to see why the song is called Mosquito Part 5, man. Holy!
Make it so dreamy.
I don't really have much to say about this song. It's just weird. I also like how the part 5 in the title implies that there are 4 predecessors to this track. Unfortunately, I could not locate any of these elusive songs, so we'll never get to know how they sound. But that's probably for the better. This is a certified bad tier song. And with that final entry, we have just completed the 4th layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg. I'm not gonna lie, guys, it really is starting to wear on me. There were a few interesting songs in that tier, or I guess all of them were pretty interesting, in a bad way. Like, man, Sonic Eraser, dude. I know, like, earlier in this iceberg, I said that every like is 1 metal pipe to my head, but man, how many likes was that, dude? Holy sh**. But yeah, we have one more layer to go, though. So without further ado, let's dive into the 5th layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg, the Abyss. Let's dive right in, shall we? Igor leak. If you haven't been keeping track up until this point, this is the 3rd time a Tyler the Creator leak has been featured on this iceberg. But surprisingly enough, this one isn't AI generated like the others. In other words, this is 100% man-made. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing is up to you. Anyways, this entry refers to an alleged leak of Tyler's 2019 album, Igor. Although I was unable to determine who exactly created this album, the leak's origins can be traced back to the file sharing platform, Soulseek. Now, the leak itself is relatively impressive, having a total runtime of 30 minutes and including multiple songs allegedly featured on Tyler's album. However, as we have come to know at this point, this leak is completely fake, and that becomes immediately obvious upon first listening to it.
Yo everybody, I'm Tyler the Creator, and I
You guys play too much, man. Like, what is this, dude?
am here to say today that I like to have fun. Yes, I like to have fun and get things done. I'm Tyler the Creator. Who are you?
You wanna know what the crazy part about this is? This was posted in 2019, before AI was a thing. So a real person sat down and recorded this. 30 minutes of this. Holy sh**. There's 30 minutes of this? I'm not gonna sit here and listen to 30 minutes of this, man.
Tyler the Creator.
It's...
Who are you?
Like, you guys can't get mad at me for skipping this, right? I'll skip through it. Let me see what we got going on here. It's like so much effort for a troll, man. It's almost admirable in a way, in all honesty. Like, it sounds like some hot ass, don't get me wrong, but still admirable, you know? How does it end? I'm not gonna lie, I kind of admire whoever created this fake album. The effort they put into it is almost impressive in a way. However, the music itself is some hot ass. This is definitely the worst Tyler the Creator leak on this iceberg. Bad tier. Let's move on to the next entry. Worst dubstep song ever created. This entry refers to a YouTube video of the same name. Uploaded on June 3rd, 2013 by the user Chicka Chicka Slim Shady, the song itself is a satirical take on the dubstep genre of music, primarily featuring ear-piercing electronic noises and little to no rhythmic qualities. It's hard to describe this song beyond that, so let's just listen to it together. The banana man. Alright, let's hear it. Bro, I'm gonna be honest, this sounds like a vibrator, man. It's like, dude, like, what do you want me to say about this? It's just a shitty ass song, man. I don't really know what else to say about this song. It sort of just speaks for itself. So it should come as no surprise that I ended up putting it in the awful tier. There really isn't any redeeming qualities about it, and it commits the cardinal sin of being annoying. So yeah, let's move on to the next entry. On some random shit. This entry refers to an Instagram video posted by an underground artist named Thump Easy. First uploaded on June 16th, 2024, the song consists of seemingly random piano strokes in the music production software FL Studio. When justifying the creation of this beat, Thump Easy would clarify that he randomly put it together, proclaiming that he was just on some random shit whilst creating it. However, little did he know at the time, but this spontaneous creativity would result in a song similar to the likes of Beethoven and Mozart. Think I'm over-exaggerating? Well, think again.
What y'all think about these keys? That's the first thing I put together. Just on some random shit, you feel me? Yeah, let me know what y'all think on that.
Oh, I'm sure the people of Instagram let this guy know what they thought in the comments. That's rough, man. It's wholesome in a way, man. It really is. He was so proud of that. Listen, even though he was proud, not everybody can be a winner, okay? We can't give everybody golden stars, you feel me? If we're being honest from a critical perspective, that shit was ass, man. Now, I'm pretty conflicted on where to place this song. On one hand, the beat demonstrates absolutely no rhythm or harmony whatsoever, completely disregarding the core principles of music theory. But on the other hand, it wasn't egregiously bad like some of the entries in the bad or awful tiers. Plus, I'm also fond of how proud Thump Easy is of his own creation. It's kind of wholesome, to be honest. So, I decided to place this song in the clumsy tier. It's not bad, but it's definitely poorly made. Let's move on to the next entry. Joe Mama. This entry refers to a SoundCloud song with only 50 total views. Titled Joe Mama, the song was created by someone named Impractical Joker 2.5, and it sounds like this.
Joe Mama, Joe Mama, Joe Mama, Joe Mama. And that was Joe Mama by Impractical Joker.
Bro. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this entry since it's so stupid, but it's going in the bad tier. It's just some goofball kid singing the phrase Joe Mama over and over again. There's really not much more to it than that. Let's move on to the next entry. 1942. 1942 is a retro World War II video game first developed by Capcom for arcade systems in the mid-1980s. However, the game would receive multiple ports throughout its lifespan, the most notable of which being the NES port. This version of the game was developed by Micronix and released a year after its predecessor, in 1985. As mentioned previously, the game takes place during World War II, where the player takes control of a fighter plane and is required to destroy enemy planes as they progress. Now, if this was just any run-of-the-mill 80s video game, it probably would have been forgotten over time. Unfortunately, 1942 has one of the worst soundtracks in gaming history. I'm not even over-exaggerating either. Just have a listen for yourself. Bro, you can't be serious, man. Wow. Look, I get it. This song was released in 1985. The technology was limited back then. But still, that is no excuse to release a song that sounds like this, man. Bro, this is one of the worst ones, man. It's ear piercing. It is ear piercing. I'm so curious as to what they were going for creating this song. It's like what were they trying to convey or communicate, or even trying to replicate? Bro, that string of beeps is horrific as well. But what I mean is, what were they even trying to replicate with this song, man? It sounds like the heart rate of somebody with high cholesterol. Oh, he had a heart attack. Okay, that's rough. Oh, that person just had a heart attack and now they're no longer with us. That's unfortunate. This song plays consistently throughout the entire game, by the way. No matter the circumstance, no matter the level. Look, I get it, right? This song was probably the result of technical limitations at the time. But still, this is one of the worst tracks on this iceberg. The ear-piercing beeping, combined with the crumpling paper sounds, makes me feel like I'm listening to somebody die in the hospital. And for that, it goes comfortably in the worst of all time contender tier. Let's move on to the next entry. First beat. This entry refers to a video uploaded onto TikTok by a user named Inactive. Captioned 12-year-old me was not cooking. The video features a song titled First Beat, and to be quite frank, it really isn't that bad. Did you guys see that comment, man? As soon as the beat dropped, this guy... Dude, that's a grade A hater right there. This shit is ass. You hating on a 12-year-old, man. That's rough. That's not bad. It really isn't bad for a 12-year-old. I'm gonna be honest. Okay. I'm gonna put this song in the clumsy tier. Aside from the questionable inclusion of a microwave sample throughout the track, I wouldn't consider it bad by any means. This is actually pretty impressive for a 12-year-old to create, all things considered. And I just realized that a song made by a child is better than some of the music we've seen made by adults on this iceberg. What a humbling thought. Anyways, let's move on to the next entry. It's a smash hit. This entry refers to a song that only exists through re-uploads at this point. All we really know definitively is that it was probably created by an individual named CXRTEZ. The song itself is relatively unremarkable at first glance, simply being nothing more than a beat created in an FL Studio. However, upon clicking play for the first time, you are greeted with this. Bro, dude, what is it with the horse samples, man? This is the second time that this has happened. Alright.
It's a smash hit.
Bro, no it ain't, man. No it ain't. This is not a smash hit.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, once again, I have to reiterate this. It's almost impressive in its own way to create a beat that sounds this bad. Like, you have to actively work against music theory to create something like this, you know? You wanna know what the worst part of this entry is? This is not the first time a song featured on this iceberg used a horse sample. And to be quite frank, both times it was horrifying to listen to. This entry is a fringe clumsy tier song, but I'm gonna move it to the bad tier solely because of the horse sample. Now, let's move on to the next entry. Picture Perfect. On March 3rd, 2012, a video would be mysteriously uploaded onto YouTube titled Worst Song Ever. In the video, the original producer of this song, Neesty House, would claim that many years ago, he had gotten into contact with a client who eagerly wanted to create a song. Allegedly, this client was so enthralled with what he had written that he believed it would be the next big hit on the radio, even going as far as to claim that once he got big, he would break up with his then girlfriend. Intrigued by these hefty aspirations, Neesty House would agree to the production session and would invite him to the studio so that they can begin working on the song. And as a result of this recording session, the song Picture Perfect was born. Unfortunately, We don't know who exactly created this song, since Neasley House didn't want to disclose any names. But honestly, that might be for the best, because it sounded like this. Alright, let's hear it. Is this... Okay. Dude, this is not real, man. This is not real. There's no way. Bro, I can't do this, man. I really can't. It's too much. It's too much. I'm gonna be honest. In an alternate reality, not too distant from this one, this is Blink-182. Okay? And I love them, but still, I can acknowledge that.
She wants to be free from me.
Okay. that little bass string at the end was just so random. So that song was called Picture Perfect, but I can assure you, there was nothing picture perfect about it. Now, it's hard to verify any of the information given within this video since the majority of it is anecdotal. However, I'm just gonna assume it's true, because I love believing misinformation. After some consideration, I ultimately decided to put it as a worst of all time contender. Everything from the poor instrumentals to the off-key singing made this song almost unbearable to listen to. It pretty much disregards all aspects of music theory, which is honestly impressive. So yeah, I'm comfortable putting it in the worst of all time contender category. And with that final entry, we have just completed the final layer of the Bad Internet Music Iceberg. I'm not gonna lie, dude, that last layer was rough. I'm not sure if it's the raging headache or maybe it's the lingering tinnitus in my ears, but man, that was hard to sit through. However, there is still one final thing we need to do before we conclude this video, and that's to determine which of the worst of all time contenders is the definitive worst of all time on this iceberg. And I'm not gonna lie, I think we have a pretty heated competition here. We have CBAT, Litmus, Jonkler, Worst Background Music Ever, 1942, and Picture Perfect. So out of all those songs, which one do I think is the worst of all time? Well, I'm gonna be honest. All of those songs are horrific in completely different ways. Hell, I wouldn't even consider Jonkler music at this point, right? However, I do think one song stands out from the rest. One song that has no redeeming qualities. One song that is so utterly ear-piercing that I can't even begin to comprehend what the producers were thinking when they created it. This may be controversial. You guys may disagree with my ranking here, but I truly think that the worst song on this iceberg was 1942. Maybe it's recency bias, but I think that song was the worst one I have heard tonight. There are no redeeming qualities about it. The constant ear-piercing beeping sound and crinkling paper or whatever that was absolutely awful to listen to. And that's constant. That's the entire track. It's just that over and over and over again. This is the most horrendous song on this iceberg. I'm not gonna lie, I did also consider Jonkler for the worst of all time, but once again, I don't even consider that music at this point. So yeah, 1942 takes the cake in my book. So what can we take away from this video? Is there even anything to take away? Is there a lesson, a moral of this story? Well, here's the thing, right? We listened to a lot of awful songs tonight, right? A lot of horrific songs for that matter. However, if you want to get philosophical with it, I think the only truly bad song is a song that no one listens to. And at the end of the day, all of these songs had one listener, and it was me. So that's gotta mean something, right? So with all of that out of the way, that's the end of the video. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification notified when all my videos are released. Join my Discord server down below, based. You can check out my friend Chan Username's YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description. He was a huge help with this iceberg, and it really means a lot to me. With all of that being said, I'm going to head out and get some rest. I will see you guys on next time. Maybe.
We were just kids and we fell inside a never-ending cycle of low and high. I was just there, lost in your world. You were my favorite anime girl. Ding dong ditching in the neighborhood.